We're going to do the morning commute, and we're going to do it live. At least we're going to attempt to do it live. It's a little bit of an experiment, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes quality wise. We'll see how the audio comes out, the live stream comes out. I'm here near the airport, and sometimes the 5G connectivity will drop out as I'm going around the airport, but we're just going to give it a go, and we'll see what happens. But a lot to talk about, and one of the reasons I want to do these episodes is because in between full feature, full length car reviews and product spotlights that we do, a lot can happen during the week, and you're really a lot going on, a lot to think about, and this is a way to just get it out of my brain, to be honest. A little bit of therapy. But we have had a lot going on here lately, and that's where I want to start. So we did have CES last week in Las Vegas, and had the opportunity to go out and spend a day with the Scout Motors team at CES. That was the reason for the trip. And but honestly, I wish I could go back and spend multiple days at CES because there's just so much happening out there. But Scout Motors was the focus, and it really was worth our time and energy. Got to sit down with their engineering teams, their design teams, the marketing folks, and hear a lot about the product. We heard a lot more than we were able to share in that video we dropped last week, which, by the way, you guys were all over. Thank you so much for watching that video. We actually debated whether to drop it that night that we left CES or wait until the next morning, and we decided we're going to edit this sucker in the taxi on the way to the airport, and we're going to upload it, and it absolutely went nuts. And appreciate you guys supporting us and watching that video. And you know, it's obvious that you guys are extremely interested in what Scout is doing, and we're going to cover more of that. I'll share a couple of things today that you may not have heard. One, we had a really interesting story about that bench seat. Everybody's really interested in that capability in the truck. That almost didn't happen at the reveal. And you know, suppliers and delivery dates and everything else, they were scrambling quite a bit to get that down to Tennessee and then into that vehicle so that you guys could see it. And the response shows why they worked so hard to make that happen. Everybody's really interested in having that option in the truck and the SUV. The other thing is this Harvester model. Now, while we don't have a lot of specifics about the powertrain, we really don't have any, they do exist, and they are out there in test and in different chassis, not just the Scout, but maybe some other manufacturers, because we're so early on, they need to use what's available to do the testing. And I found that really interesting. So it is in test. They're trying to figure this, you know, crack the code here. And it became very obvious the entire industry is focused on this type of technology. And, you know, it's really complicated. The Harvester, the extended range hybrid setup, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, drives so much engineering work and development work. And I know, folks, you know, there's a big debate whether it should be 150 miles of, you know, pure battery electric or 350 miles, and what is this Harvester engine going to do? How's it going to supplement that? How's the generator going to work? What type of modes is it going to have? All of those questions drive 500 more engineering questions. And so, you know, getting this right is going to be really important. And you know, I'm really, really eager to see what happens, but everybody in Detroit is trying to figure this out. And, you know, we know GM has developed something on the military side with their full-size trucks. We know Ford is working on something. Dodge is obviously working on something with Ram Charger that is supposed to come out really in about 60 days. We're supposed to see these things probably pre-production rolling around, and people, media, maybe even having access to them. But Harvester is a big deal. And you guys are certainly interested in that. The last piece that I'll share today is that these Scout vehicles, in some form or another, they're running around some racetracks in Germany and doing some high-speed testing as well. And we hear the early returns are pretty promising. Like, folks are really gonna enjoy the heck out of that. So they're not just going to be big, heavy vehicles, and sorry, things look a little weird. You know, we got a little bit of sun. I'll deal with it so you don't have to. But I think the driving dynamics are going to be pretty impressive for the Scout vehicles as well. So that was CES. Casey and I have a whole lot more to cover about this vehicle, and particularly in the UX, because several other media outlets after we left showed up and got even more screenshots and video of the UX, and we saw things like camp mode, and we saw things like pet mode, and there's little things on those screens in those videos that we saw that I feel like I could spend an hour on all by itself. So we will have a follow-up to Scout and CES more in depth in the studio. I.e. the garage. So let's talk about Stellantis. That's the other thing that's just been swirling in my brain the last couple of days, because there's so many rumors about what's going on within Stellantis. We've obviously had the leadership change. We have a new CEO for North America and for Ram and for Jeep, and we've seen some immediate product changes. We saw Ram Charger jump the line versus the Ram Rev, the all-electric pickup truck, which makes a hell of a lot of sense. But there's a ton of product acceleration going on. They did, in my opinion, probably rush Dodge Charger to dealerships by the end of the year. They were trying to make a date, and we're just hearing about all kinds of software issues, and maybe even just from a product development perspective overall, a little bit half-baked. The Jeep Wagoneer S is starting to show up on dealer lots. They've really pushed that. I hope the software is ironed out, although I can't keep hearing that. You guys, your comments, they're pretty wild. A Jeep Wagoneer S is starting to show up, and a little bit buggy on the software, and they may be holding those as well. I really hope that product does well. But the biggest rumor is that the Jeep Recon is being accelerated, and with a potential production 1 date in late February. And that's a lot earlier than anybody on the record would tell you, or some of the product documents. And we've seen those pre-production units coming up from Mexico for months now. They've showed up in some weird places in Detroit. They look ready to go, and it sounds like first quarter we're going to see that, as well as Ram Charger rolling off the line. That's really interesting. I don't know what to make of the Jeep Recon. Jeep made a big deal about it when they announced it. I'm not sure it's the be-all end-all when it comes to an electric off-roader. We'll certainly see it's a dual motor setup with 4-wheel drive, removable doors, a retractable hardtop. It checks a lot of the boxes, but when I look at it in the flesh, I'm not so sure. And the proof will be in the pudding. I think it looks like an interesting product. We're really looking forward to that. The other thing is with Stellantis is that pricing is a big issue, and we're starting to see major price cuts on products, and on the Jeep side and the Ram side, and we hear more is coming throughout the month. And so if you want a 2024 Jeep Gladiator or Ram 1500 or even Wagoneer, keep an eye on what's happening with those prices. Stellantis is pushing dealers really, really hard to move that inventory, and they're forcing through some price cuts and major incentives, and that's just something that you guys should keep an eye on for sure. Now, what's going on with the channel? We've got a lot cooking right now. The Cybertruck video has been filmed. The editing is keeping me up at night, not because it's done, but because it's not done, and it's taking me more time to get through that. But it's a very fun video. We had a lot of fun making it. It's a very lighthearted, humorous look at what it might be like to own a Cybertruck, and I think you guys will really enjoy that. We've got more Blazer content coming, really more EV content coming. So what's it like to charge an Ultium product, for instance? The infotainment, the ins and outs of what GM is doing with the Android Automotive. What are the pluses? What are the minuses of that? And then also have a road trip coming. So I'm going to do a towing test all the way out to New Mexico. I need to get this adventure camper back out to its home base with Sasquatch and let them do a couple of things to that. And actually going to do that in a Dodge product, and that's really cool. I had a discussion with Stellantis folks and said, hey, here's something that's on the horizon. You got anything that would fit the use case? And they came back with something. I said, absolutely. And I think you guys, particularly traditionalists, will be very interested in that one. So that's coming up really this weekend. Might even do some live videos from the road for you guys. And, you know, obviously some more Scout content. We've got a couple auto shows coming up. We may have some product announcements from manufacturers between Detroit and Chicago to focus on. And then we'll see. You know, the Jeep that I'm riding around in, it's going back this spring. We're going to be looking for a new vehicle. So we'll take you guys along for the ride on that too. We've got some a couple of different options we're looking at, and maybe some different camping setups. And then we'll see whatever else the automotive industry throws at us. Obviously, next week we've got a new administration. We're going to have probably some pretty big changes because of tariffs, or the potential for tariffs, and what changes that might drive from a manufacturing standpoint, fuel economy standards, and that's going to impact product planning. There's just a hell of a lot going on. So anyway, probably going to do these videos at least once a week, maybe twice a week, and aim for the exact same time. Keeps me on schedule in the mornings on the way to work, to the day job. And hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll talk to you later. Okay? All right, ROMR out.